around you right now. The pen on your desk, the phone in your hand, the shoes on your feet, and the television you are watching right now. Almost 80% of whatever products you use every single day was made in one single country. Have you guessed it? Yes, China. Presently, China makes about 30% of everything manufactured on this entire planet. 30% of everything produced entirely by one single country. This is more than the United States, Germany, Japan, and South Korea all combined. However, for a very long time, made in China produced goods with the cheap stuff and very low quality. Plastic toys, clothes that fade in a single wash, things that break so easily, untrusted goods and useless stuff. China then was the world's factory, but not in a flattering way. And China also knew it very, very well. And then it was the year 2015 when they wrote a plan to change that. The plan so ambitious, so specific, and so momentous that when the rest of the world read it, the US started a trade war through sanctions and tariffs. It was not just a plan, it was the China's decision to change the world's perspective towards them. So today, in this episode of FactoPiaX, we will be going deep into that plan, and we will also be exposing what actually China wanted, why the US was so terrified, what worked and what didn't. So stay with us till the end to find what it all means for every one of us right now. So, what was the plan of China that panicked the US so badly that it had to respond it so brutally with trade wars, sanctions, and tariffs? Before finding all of this, let's go on a journey back before 2015. China, the economy, is stepping up the ladder to lead the world as world's largest economy with the biggest manufacturer in the world. But not in manufacturing the valuable stuffs, but in making the low value and low quality stuffs. The expensive manufacturing stuffs like chips, aircraft engines, precision software that all came from America, Japan, and Germany. And China, it just assembled it. Think about the iPhone. Designed in California, chips from Taiwan, software American, and camera lens Japanese. Then it all comes to China just to be put together. That also just for about $10 per phone. While the same product, Apple sells it for $1,000 and China just kept $10. That's the problem Beijing wanted to fix, so they targeted 10 industries. These industries were those where China would stop depending on other countries and start leading. This is where the main goal of the plan comes in existence. Stop buying the expensive, core and value-creating stuff. Instead, start making them yourself and then sell those to the whole world. And to do that, they committed over $300 billion. However, COVID hit. Execution demanded more funding and they added another $1.4 trillion on top of that. That is more than the entire GDP of Australia. Now, you might think other countries would look at this and say, okay, fair enough. Every country wants to improve its industry. But that's not what happened. The moment the US knew about this plan, they didn't just push back, they panicked. And when you understand why, this is going to surprise you. So why the US panicked so much? Looking on the surface, Made in China 2025 looks like any other industrial policy. Government wants better industries, spends money, and starts manufacturing. Every country does some version of that, right? But when Washington read this document carefully, something felt very different. The very first paragraph of the plan says, building a world-class manufacturing industry is how China will protect its national security. I have quoted it here, and this is why. This wasn't just a business, industrial, or an economic plan. It was a national security strategy dressed as an industrial policy. The plan also talked openly about what China calls military-civil fusion, meaning technology built for civilians should also work for the military. When Huawei becomes the world's leader in 5G, America didn't see it as just a phone network. They saw a surveillance risk. And when DJI took over 70% of the global civilian drone market, the US military saw it as a weapons technology risk. And the plan had one target that scared everyone the most. By 2025, China wanted to achieve the manufacturing target of 70% of its core components domestically. No more depending on American chips, no more dependence on German machines. And if China pulled that off, the economic leverage the West had over China would simply be disappeared. This is why the response came fast. Trade tariffs in 2018, Huawei cut off from American tech in 2020, a full semiconductor export ban in 2022, blocking China from buying the world's most advanced chip-making equipment. The rest was still on, and that's the setup. China had a plan with proper execution framework, and the US tried to stop it, because some of these results are honestly so hard to believe. Okay, let's talk about China's wins and its failing points over this plan. Electric vehicles. China went from a joke to the electric leader. BYD overtook Tesla. China now makes over 60% of all EVs sold worldwide. Solar. China installs more panels every year than the rest of the world combined. If you have panels on your roof right now, they were probably made in China. Similarly, high-speed rail. More track than every other country on earth put together. Licensed from Japan and Germany. Improved, scaled, and made cheaper, and now being exported as well. 5G networks. Despite everything the US threw at Huawei, China leads globally. Huawei holds more 5G patents than any other company existing on earth. Same goes to shipbuilding, from third place in 2015 to over 50% of global orders by 2025. Independent research puts China at roughly 86% of its targets. That's remarkable for any country and any plan. But not everything worked. China failed in achieving some of their goals as well. The plan's biggest miss. Target 70% domestic chip production by 2025, but reality, production around just 20%. There is a Dutch company called ASML, the only company that makes machines to print the most advanced chips in the world. China can't access them, and without those machines, the gap still stays. So quietly, Beijing deleted that 70% target from the next plan, and here the goalposts moved. Similarly, aerospace. The Comac C919 flew in 2023, but it still runs on US-French engine. Full independence, it's decades away. Robotics. China's biggest move wasn't building a robotics company. It was buying a German one, KUKA, Chinese owned, not Chinese built. Here, China put itself dominant in some places while significantly behind in others. But whether China won or lost on paper, this plan already changed something far bigger than China itself. It changed how the entire world thinks about manufacturing, technology, and competition. And moreover, it changed the way how the world used to see China's manufacturing, from low value, low quality stuff to making the top world-class valued, high quality stuff. China had its wins as well as some failures. But what did this plan actually do the rest of the world? This is the most important question. And here is something most people don't think about. Even if you don't live in China or the US, this plan changed your life too. Because the moment China announced Made in China 2025, it didn't just change what China was doing, it changed what everyone else started doing. Companies that were manufacturing in China started moving out of China. iPhones being assembled in India, shoes made in Vietnam, factories shifting to Mexico. But here is what most people miss. China is still inside those supply chains. The machines in Indian factories, often Chinese. The batteries in Vietnamese electronics, often Chinese. You can move the assembly, but moving the entire ecosystem China built over 30 years, almost impossible. This exact plan did also trigger something else. Every major government started writing their own industrial plans. The US passed the CHIPS Act with $52 billion to rebuild American chip manufacturing. The European Union launched its own CHIPS Act, and India launched Make in India. Right then, China's plan forced the whole world to start planning. And in solar, EVs, and batteries, any company anywhere in the world is now competing with Chinese firms that receive billions in subsidies and can undercut your price before you even start. So with all that in mind, let's come back to the original question. Did a single industrial plan from one country really change the entire world? Well, we started this video with one question. Did Made in China 2025 actually work? The honest answer is it depends on what you are measuring. By numbers, 70 to 86% of targets achieved in EVs, solar, rails, ships, and telecoms. In those, China didn't just meet the targets, it became the global leader. However, in chips, machinery, and aerospace, it fell well short, pretty behind. But here is the big answer. The plan changed the world whether it fully succeeded or not. It started a trade war, it forced every major economy to rebuild its strategy, it launched a new era of competition between the US and China that is still unfolding. And China isn't stopping here. The 15th five-year plan launched in March 2026 is already running. The old plan was about catching up, while this new one is about pulling ahead. AI is mentioned 52 times in the new plan. Humanoid robots, quantum computing, 6G, and green hydrogen are some of the major things explained in the new plan. The lesson China took from all of this is simple. Depending on any foreign technology is a weakness. So it took the decision to close every gap, no matter how long it takes. Whether that worries you or impresses you, it should make you pay attention. That is Made in China 2025. If this helped you understand something the news makes complicated, like the video and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Don't forget to subscribe to FactoPiaX, where we break the world's biggest stories down into something anybody can understand. That's all for today. See you in the next one.